situation to become unsustainable.
Kellyanne,
and General Flynn.
That makes no sense.
So, Rick, Joe was just saying that she books herself on these shows. We know for a fact she tries to book herself on this show. I won't do it because I don't believe in fake news or information that is not true. And that is every time I've ever seen her on television, something's askew, off, or incorrect. Another piece of news concerning Kellyanne Conway. The government's top ethics office is urging the White House to investigate the president's counselor for publicly endorsing Ivanka Trump's clothing line. I still can't believe this happened. In a letter to the White House, the director of the Office of Government Ethics wrote there's, quote, strong reason to believe that Conway violated rules against misusing her position, that, quote, disciplinary action is warranted. The chairman of the House Oversight Committee, who urged the Ethics Office to investigate, has now called on the White House to follow the agency's guidance. Joe, you have some reporting on this as well.
Well, it's actually the same thing I've heard since Donald Trump was elected by his top aides, and again confirmed it last night. She's out of the loop. She's in none of the key meetings. She goes out and books herself often. And, I said this morning, I saw some of the headlines yesterday and felt badly because the language I used was so harsh, and I'm going to take it back. About her, quote, lying. I think, Rick Tyler, it is equally as bad that a spokesperson in the White House actually goes out and makes things up. She doesn't know. She doesn't have the information. She's not in any of the key meetings. She's not briefed. And so she'll go out like she did yesterday. She'll hear me say something about her, as apparently this is what I heard from inside the White House, and then she'll immediately start calling, and she'll call people that go on TV and defend herself. And so then she goes on the Today Show, gives misinformation, as she does on all of these shows. And again, I don't even think she's saying something that she knows to be untrue. She's just saying things just to get in front of the TV set and prove her relevance, because behind the scenes, she's not in these meetings. And any reporter can ask anybody in that White House, and they will say the same thing. She's not in the meeting. So, Rick, the question is, why does the president allow her to keep going out and spreading false information?
It's really quite unbelievable. I mean, what's happening here is any White House is going to be stress test, right? But now we're under a severe stress test, and this is really a crisis of incompetence. And that's just the tip of it. All the rest of it has the hallmarks of a scandal. And you also have a situation where the reporters in the room seem to know more than the press secretaries answering their questions, and that there's not a coherent message coming out of the White House, and that the people aren't coordinating. And all this leads to a lot of questions. General Flynn was clearly in touch with the Russians through the campaign, and it's hard for me to believe that the president-elect didn't, or the candidate at that time didn't know that was going on. And then during the transition, if he was going to call the Russian ambassador, you would think topic number one would have been the sanctions. And so he would have been prepared to talk sanctions, because that would clearly come up. And the president saying he doesn't know, he didn't know about these reports, that A, he talked to the Russian ambassador, and B, whether he talked about sanctions. And if that were, it's hard for me to believe the president didn't know. And if that's true, then the president also misled the vice president.
Really quick comment, 5 seconds. Do you want to wait?
Okay.
Okay, we'll wait. Still ahead on. We have so much to get to. Yeah. Everybody, I will say, Kellyanne Conway does not need to text our show, at least as long as I'm on it, because it's not happening here. Still ahead on Morning Joe, 2 big exclusive interviews.